Hey guys, I'm back to working on the Philco 37640 and I hope to wrap it up in this segment. So when we left off, I believe I'd worked out all the kinks and it was working rather well, but there were a few nagging things. One, still had no antenna terminals in the back, just got wires hanging out, and the power tone switch shaft is too long, and I didn't have a power cord. And also I'd wanted to install a fuse and some higher rated caps on the output transformer. Well, part of the holdup was I'd ordered some stuff from Radio Days and my order was incomplete when I received it. Sent them a few notes and never got a response, but as some of you said to me that in your experience they will just send the back order parts eventually without notice, and that is exactly what happened. So a few days ago a package arrived. I never got any contact from Radio Days, but all the stuff I had ordered is now here. So here are the correct valued higher voltage caps. So I'll install those. Terminal strips, not for this project, but for others upcoming. Now for the power plug, I was going to use one of these, but as the owner of this chassis pointed out to me, he actually did send it along, and yes indeed, here it is, and looks to me to be plenty good enough condition to reuse. Don't know if it's the original, but it seems pretty likely, as it certainly is an old style. And something else I had forgotten was that by this point they weren't using cloth covered power cords anymore. It was an early type of vinyl or maybe rubber. So actually it'd be more appropriate to use something like this than that cloth covered stuff, so that's just what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to use this, I believe it's 18 gauge stranded, and this plug. I'm also going to seal up the caps now that things seem to be working. I don't think there's any need for me to get back inside there anytime soon. I'll just be gluing the caps back on top of these, and I'm going to put aluminum tape around this guy to hold it secure. Oh, and the antenna terminals. So I've been having a heck of a time finding anything that lined up with the old mounting holes and had 4 terminals on it. Well, finally, I went through a little box of parts someone had sent me recently, and it included this. Which, yeah, is modern, but, what do you know, the mounting holes line up perfectly, and it's got 4 terminals on it, so that is what I'm going to go with. So yeah, it's modern plastic, but hey, it's certainly better than just having some wires hanging out, and I don't have to drill any holes, everything will line up, so that is good enough for me. And I did go ahead and pull the speaker out of my Philco 118. So once all that other stuff is done, I hook it up with this speaker, which has a field coil. Up till now I've just been using a power resistor, which is probably letting in more hum than there should be, and using a replacement modern Hammond output transformer, whereas this one uses the same type of 6F6 push-pull output tubes as this guy does. So curious to hear how it will sound. Oh, something else I wanted to mention. I went through a list of production changes that Philco put out, and it solved all the mysteries that I was encountering while working on this. For example, the IF transformers. Old part number, new part number. And the first IF transformer has a stabilizing winding, which is placed in series with the suppressor grid of the 6K7G. And that's what those 2 little black wires coming out of that IF can were that were confusing me. Also, electrolytic condensers in the power unit were changed from 12 microfarad to 8, and the 8-10 dual microfarad changed to 20-10, so that explains that as well. And a few other changes. all of which I encountered while working on this. I wish I had known about this document before I started, and I want to save myself a little bit of hair pulling. Okay, I got the orange drop caps installed. I've got the antenna terminal strip installed and wired in. I've also wired in the original speaker wiring, which has cracks in the insulation, and the original guy who was working on this put some heat shrink tubing over it. So I just left it as is, and I popped the cover off of my speaker here, figured out what wires were what, and I got that hooked up with just some temporary clips. And I got the power cord wired in with the old plug. So let's see if this thing still works. Dim the red lights a little bit. PR57 into about 117 volts, and go. Seeing the pilot lights light up, always a good sign. Now, I've never tested the speaker, so I'm also testing that as well. Good sign. I'm not sure what band I'm in. Oh, no, I've got the dial installed now. I can just look at the light. So, something doesn't seem quite right. Oh, and I did go and chop down that original Philco control. Pained me to do it, but I want to get this thing done, so I just went ahead and made a cut. So it's a little odd. I did a bunch of work, so of course it's very possible I made a mistake somewhere. Get some on the other bands though.
El jefe de Estado ecuatoriano expresó su preocupación por la crisis surgida entre los gobiernos de Caracas y Bogotá. Dictas vinculados a...
Después de las reuniones para...
So the shortwave bands are working. There's got to be something minor wrong with the broadcast band.
Desde Polonia, Chequia, las actividades de COFOLAS.
做伙伴的支持，公众对联合国17个可持续发展目标的了解。据台湾
I think the problem is I just wasn't turning the band switch well enough.
It's time to open our eyes.
So yeah, the AM band's working just fine.
Provides a unified voice for those who
Just got to make sure that this really hooks in when you go between the bands.
learn what you can do to... Below 25%, it can turn your garage like red to...
So it sounds to me like there's a lot less hum.
Automatically email investors. The phrase...
Really no hum coming out of the speaker. So I think that was the problem before when I was just using a power resistor instead of a field coil.
Gyroscope for personal data and Domo and Gecko board for business. Gyroscope shares the app.
And welcome to the program, everyone. Nice to have all of you on the Interlife today. I'm Chuck Neff, along with our producer, Tim Merce. This, of course, is our program on spiritual direction. We come to you every day.
This man signed a contract 2 years ago. We don't want to...
better than others. Yesterday was.
It's a little noisy in between stations. That's nothing to do with the radio. All my radios have that very noisy environment around here.
Away from stopping Kendrick from getting that game-time touchdown.
Yeah.
Alright, so how about that shadow meter? I'll try to tune in a strong station here.
Those are also big shoes to fill, and when you're in that position, it doesn't work out for you. You just trip and you fall.
Yeah, it's definitely working.
Cam was here, and I saw him in the locker room afterwards.
So
I saw how he
tuned in.
took it.
Not tuned in. It'll look better when it's in the proper bezel with the piece of colored plastic in front of it.
Man was there. A lot of people were there to try to console him, but again, he did something for a Pro Bowl safety. And when you make mistakes, you really, they're very big in the eyes of the public.
Jeff Chadillo from the NFL.
Okay, I fired up a little public domain music on my transmitter. See if we can find it on the dial there. There it is. Yeah, nice and clear. A little bit of crackling you might hear is actually in the original recording. Watch some shadow move to this song. So, it was a long time coming, but I think this is the end of the journey. This radio is working just fine. All that's left is to pack it back up and ship it off to its owner. Hope you enjoyed watching this restoration series on a Philco 37640 3-band radio from 1937.